We are a justice-making, truth-seeking people.
We gather as a community of believers and seekers.
We share a reverence for the mystery of life.
We are building the beloved community.
Come, let us worship together.
This morning, our hymns have been carefully chosen to complement the beautiful service ahead of us. So if you'd please all rise in body and spirit and join in singing our prelude hymn this morning, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky, number 203. All creatures of the earth and sky, come kindred voices high. Alleluia, alleluia. Bright burning sun with golden beam, soft shining moon with silver gleam. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Swift rushing wind so wild and strong, white clouds that sail and have no long. Alleluia, alleluia. Fair rising morning, praise rejoice. High stars of evening find a voice. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Cool flowing water, pure and clear, make music for all life to hear. Alleluia, alleluia. Dance, flame of fire so strong and bright, and bless us with your warmth and light. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Thank you.
Good morning, Birmingham Unitarian Church. It is good to be together again. Whether you are joining us here in the sanctuary, remotely via Zoom, or watching this recording later, it is good to connect with you. As a multi-platform church, it is important for us to build a bridge between online and in-person participants. We call this connection opportunity greeting our virtual neighbors. First, we will project the image of folks who are currently on Zoom up here on our screen and ask them to turn their cameras on and give us a wave. There we go. Now, we who are gathered in person will turn to face the camera in the back of the sanctuary and give them a wave. Whenever and however we connect with BUC, we are building BUC. At home, on campus, in the world, every day, we are Birmingham Unitarian Church, and we are building the beloved community. Now, we join with other Unitarian Universalists around the world as we light our chalice, in community with ourselves, each other, and the universe. We light this chalice, spark of the original fire of creation, to remind us that we are all on this planet, the furred, the feathered, the finned, and the scaled, along with us featherless bipeds. We are all made of the same star stuff and share a common destiny. We all share the same hopes of a free life from harm and suffering, and the same aspirations of happiness, love, and flourishing, being able to express our own unique natures and capacities as best we may. We are just that many diverse perspectives from which the whole is seen and experienced. We are inextricably intertwined, interconnected, and interdependent, and it is good. Blessed be.
Would you join and stand and rise in body and or spirit and join in singing number 175? We celebrate the web of life. We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing, a fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our bones link stone to star, and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
Good morning. It's great to be here. I'm Reverend Teresa Rolk. I'm the Minister of Pastoral Care at a neighboring church just down the way, the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. I am honored to be here for this special service in which we will honor, remember, and bless the animals in our lives. Through music and song, ritual and reflection, words and stories, we will celebrate the web of life and examine our place in it. We might even learn something interesting about chickens and animal intelligence. Should we begin with a story?
So our story for today's Time for All Ages is called Always and Forever, written by Alan Durant and illustrated by Debbie Gliori. This is a beautiful story, and I can't wait to share it with you. Otter, mole, fox, and hare lived together in a house in the woods. Otter cooked delicious meals, mole made and mended, hare kept a beautiful garden, and fox, he worked harder than anyone, making sure everything ran smoothly. He was always on hand with a helpful suggestion and an encouraging word. They were a happy family, and they loved each other dearly. But one day, Fox fell ill. As the leaves started to drop from the trees, Fox grew thin, pale, and sad. One morning, he went out alone into the woods and didn't come back. His family found him, still and cold, covered in leaves, beneath an oak tree. With sadness, they carried him home. They buried Fox by the light of the moon in his favorite place, under the willow tree. The tree wept over him. Otter, mole, and hare cried too as they said goodbye. A wintry sadness settled on the house in the woods. Fox's family missed him so much. They felt lost without him. He was so wise, said Otter. Whenever I had a problem, Fox always gave me good advice. He was so clever, too, said Mole. You could ask Fox anything, and he always knew the answer. And he was so kind and loving, said Hare. He was always there to give you a hug when you needed one. Remembering the things they loved about Fox made his family miss him even more. Even talking about him made their hearts ache. They fell into silence. And so it continued, sun and moon, moon and sun. There was only deep sadness in the house in the woods. Snow came and went. The trees started to turn green once more. One afternoon, Squirrel came to visit. "Where have you been?" she asked. "Your friends have missed you." "We've been too sad to go out," said Mole. "We miss Fox too much," said Hare. "So do we all," said Squirrel. "But life has to go on." "How can it without Fox?" said Otter. And he started to cry. Mole and Hare started crying too. Squirrel tried to comfort her friends, but they could not be comforted. They were very pleased to see Squirrel again, though, so they asked her to stay for dinner. Otter cooked a proper meal, the first time in ages. "This is delicious," said Squirrel. She sat back in her chair and smiled. "You know, there's one thing I don't miss about Fox, and that's his cooking. Do you remember how awful that pie he made?" "Yes," Otter said, and he smiled too, as he remembered Fox's pie. The potatoes were barely cooked, and the pastry was burned to a crisp. Fox was a terrible cook. "He was a terrible handyman, too," said Hare. "Do you remember the time he tried to make a chair?" "Yes," said Mole. "The chair had fallen apart the first time Fox sat on it. They'd all laughed, but especially Fox." "And what about the time that you were sick, Hare, and Fox did all the weeding?" said Mole. "He pulled up all the carrots by mistake." They all laughed, remembering these funny things. It had been a long time since Otter, Mole, or Hare had laughed. Before Fox had fallen ill, there had always been laughter in the house. "You know," Hare said after a while, "I'm going to make a special garden for Fox under the willow tree." She smiled. "I'll plant carrots there." "And I'll build a bench for us to sit on," said Mole. "And once a month I shall cook Fox's potato pie," said Otter. "But don't burn it," said Squirrel. "I won't," said Otter. And that is just what they did. They sat together often on Mole's bench in Hare's garden, full of Otter's pie, recalling happy times. As they laughed, they felt they could hear Fox laughing too, as if he were still there with them. And in their hearts and their memories and their laughter, Fox was still there, part of their family, beloved friend and companion, always and forever.
The mission of Birmingham Unitarian Church is to be a free and welcoming religious community that encourages lives of integrity, learning, service, and joy. One way we live out this mission is by giving half of our weekly offering to a nonprofit organization that shares our values and addresses needs in one of these areas: environmental action, economic justice, civic engagement, and racial justice. We support a new organization each month. Our October recipient is Michigan Urban Farming Initiative. MUFI uses urban agriculture as a way to promote education, sustainability, and community by empowering people living in urban settings, solving many social problems facing Detroit, and developing a model for other urban communities. MUFI's primary focus is the redevelopment of a 3-acre area in Detroit's North End, which is being positioned as an epicenter of urban agriculture. They are hoping to demonstrate everything from best practices for sustainable urban agriculture, effective strategies for increasing food security, cost-competitive and scalable models for blight deconstruction, and innovation in blue and green infrastructure. 200 people volunteer at MUFI each week, and thousands of pounds of organically grown produce is given to households near its Brush Street location. Some of the farm's other initiatives, such as its high-density fruit orchard, a children's sensory garden and retention pond, which uses the basement of a once blighted home as a rainwater harvesting cistern that automatically supplies water to an adjacent urban farm via a drip line irrigation system. Let there be an offering in support of our beloved community and organizations that build the world we dream about. This morning's offering will now be received with gratitude. Ushers, please come forward. We are a church of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. With gratitude, we dedicate this offering to the good works of our congregation and dedicate ourselves to its service.
So there's a joy to share by Rich Schreck, who lets us know that John Bruce's brother, Louis, get ready, won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this week. Like, right? When does that happen? You're that close to a Nobel Prize winner. That's fabulous. Congratulations. And there are a couple sorrows to share. Mary Dunn wants to lift up the increased violence in Israel and Gaza and Palestine. I think we all can hold that in our hearts, knowing that violence anywhere affects all of us. And also a sorrow from Carol Jackson. She writes that October 6th would have been her 39th anniversary with Alex Sellis. Their wedding was held at the UU Congregation of Monmouth County in New Jersey. Their children, children-in-law, and she are glad to remember the life and examples of kindness, wit, wisdom, and invariably informed conversation that he shared with them over all the years. We hold that anniversary also in our hearts. The Tao Te Ching reminds us that we cannot know full without empty, and likewise we understand our joys and sorrows as connected, that experiencing both in close proximity allows us to perhaps more fully feel each. So for all the joys and sorrows that you are holding, whether they were shared this morning or privately in writing, or they simply remain in your hearts, know that you are not alone. This community holds them with you today and always. So in a moment, we will begin a ritual of remembrance for our animal companions who have died. Now, do you remember how Fox's friends felt in the story after he died? Yeah? At first, when they remembered Fox, they could only feel really sad. And that's very normal. When a person or a pet we love dies, we are truly sad. And then what happened when their friend Squirrel came by? She said, "We all miss him." And she did too, but then she started to tell stories and remember funny things about Fox. By remembering and sharing stories, life started to feel a bit better, not always so sad. Then they each decided to do something, right, in Fox's memory. One built a bench, one made a garden, one cooked the pie. And just like Fox's animal friends, we too will make a place for our grief as we remember and honor the animal companions who have left our side. Their passing may have been very recent or from many years ago, but the space left behind is there. And in our remembering, we make room for healing. Now, if you are watching on Zoom and you have a pet you wish to honor, you could put the name in the chat and tell us the kind of pet it was and their name, and know that we will hold that memory with you. For those of you here, I will invite you in a moment to come up, and you may place a photo or an item that you brought with you, a memento of a deceased pet, on our remembrance altar. There's also a bowl of stones, and if you wish to honor a pet but didn't bring something, please feel free to come up to the front, take a stone, and place that on the altar as well. And there are small pieces of paper if you wish to write the pet's name there. So please come up to the remembrance altar as the ushers will indicate. When you're here, there's no need to rush. Take the time that you need. All are welcome, children and adults alike. And if you need assistance getting something to the altar, kind of let me know and I'll come to help you. So let's begin. This space of remembrance and the presence of some living pets in this space reminds us of the larger web of life that we are just one small part of and have been forever. It isn't new. We've been connected to the past in ways you may not have thought about. Especially for kids here, what's the oldest kind of animal you can think of? Like super old. Any kids or bigger kids? I heard somebody. Dinosaurs. Yeah, super old dinosaurs. So let's listen to this poem by Nancy Schaefer called In the Beginning. Kate is teaching the kids about dinosaur air. That air you breathe, that air you have inside you every time you take a breath, that's dinosaur air, she says. Dinosaurs breathed it. The kids' eyes are very wide. They take deep gulps of air just to have more dinosaur air inside them. The air we have is all the air we will ever have, Kate says, so we have to take good care of it. The kids gulp less. Consider the air already inside. Kate tells more. Actually, she says, we're all cousins. The kids look at each other, disbelieving, believing. You? We, all of us, Kate says, way, way back began as cousins. Way back in the beginning. The kids whoop and clap each other on the back. For the rest of the day, they savor air and call each other cousin. Dear cousins, let us all take a collective breath of dinosaur air to center us as we prepare to celebrate the web of life, our interconnectedness, and our beloved animal friends. And we'll begin with a very special choral anthem.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every
macaw.
The hymn we sang at the start of the service, and the same one that the chicken choir just sang, is an old tune from the 16th century with words by Alicia Carpenter from 1990. You know the words well now. We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Of ancient dreams, we are the sum. Our bones link stone to star and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth. Each time I read or sing this hymn, I am taken by how completely it encapsulates the UU 7th principle, the one in which we covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And not just the interconnected web of humans, and we are all connected, but of all existence and over time. And on a Sunday like this, when we are in the company of some other animals, it is a reminder that we as humans must not fall into the default way of thinking and being in the world, thinking that we are the only ones with intelligence or spiritual or emotional lives, or that somehow we have arrived at the top of, shall I say, the pecking order. And I chose that idiomatic phrase intentionally. The pecking order is a real thing that comes from the study of chickens. It refers to the complex social hierarchy of a flock of chickens. A pecking order requires that chickens recognize visually those in their flock, and this could be up to hundreds of other chickens with whom they communicate using a well-developed language of calls and sounds and movements. And from what I've read, the pecking order is not typically used to bully those lower down on the social ladder. Rather, the pecking order seems to recognize the fact that chickens have innate personality traits that lets them move to the top of the order, and those are the ones who become leaders. I was surprised to learn how social chickens are. Does anyone here keep chickens? Some of you, yes. Do you agree? Yeah, they're very social. Chickens do not like to be alone, and typically they don't thrive when they're alone. And apparently they like to join choirs. But minimally, chickens want to have a group of at least 3 to hang out with. And there's actually quite a bit of research done on chicken behavior and communications, with evidence that chickens also have an emotional life. They can experience trauma, show compassion and love. They demonstrate excitement and jealousy, and develop friendships. Now here's an interesting fact. Chickens are the closest living relative to the dinosaur T. rex. Talk about bridging past and present worlds. Now, increasingly, scientific studies are supporting ideas that animals and things in nature have extensive ways and complex ways of communicating and experiencing the world. Perhaps because of this research, we are becoming more comfortable talking about whether trees feel pain or if animal species feel grief. For anyone who has at any point in their life given love to another animal, who has had a pet accompany them through life, knows without a doubt that pets are intelligent and capable of all kinds of communications and emotions. And this contributes to why we feel so much grief and loss when one of our pets dies. Now, throughout much of Western history, humankind has assumed superiority over animals, has assumed humans were the only things capable of thought, the only beings endowed with a soul or even consciousness. In her book, Rooted, Life at the Crossroads of Science, Nature, and Spirit, Leanda Haupt describes how Darwin had a different perspective. From his work, he thought it was obvious a simple given that, quote, the continuity between all creatures and humans included not just morphology, but consciousness. He often referred to animals as being happy or calm, peaceful or agitated. And this was in the mid-1800s. For those of you with pets, can you tell if your pet is happy? Or excited? Sad? Lonely? Yeah, I bet you can. 150 years after Darwin, in 2012, the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness proclaimed that all animals, from birds to apes to coyotes to fish to octopuses, possess consciousness worthy of ethical consideration. This declaration was signed by an international consortium of scientists. Now, the Western world is late to the understanding that many traditionally oral and indigenous cultures have known for millennia, that things around us have a form of aliveness and consciousness and unique ways of being engaged with the world. In 2007, evolutionary biologist Mark Bekoff wrote, "Emotions are the gifts of our ancestors. We have them, and so do animals. We must never forget this." Haupt cautions that we can impose our human understanding of emotions onto animals and label things in a way that makes sense to our human brains, but in doing so may narrow the range of what we think animals are experiencing. We might not be able to see the unique and more complex situations that animals actually experience, simply because it is beyond our human imagination, beyond our current ways of knowing. Now, I think there's an element of faith that is part of our interactions with our animal friends. We can be comfortable just with being and experiencing the interactions we have with our beloved pets, be they chickens or dogs or cats, or rabbits or snakes or fish, and we can believe their consciousness has ethical implications. We don't have to have scientific proof, data, or studies to verify this in order to act ethically. We don't need research studies for us to love and care for our animal companions. Every species has a unique way of being in the world. Now, Haupt asks questions that I think we could engage with more regularly in our observations and interactions with nature, plants, trees, or animals. She says, as a species, turkey vultures vocalize little, but their brains hold more space for a sense of smell than any other bird, and they are called to their flesh meals through aromas that arise from earth to air. How must it be to live guided by flight and fragrance? What manner of intelligence forms within a life shaped and molded by these things? Or the whisker-based night seeing of rodents? Or the skin-based knowing of earthworms? Or the beyond human hearing of bats? Or the geometrical pattern recognition of bees in the flowers they see, and the visual wavelengths that humans are blind to, but that guide bee lives? She says we walk within an infinity of animal intelligences, some known, some never suspected, some unimaginable in our limited human comprehension. Now, if we truly live into our seventh principle, then it is our obligation, morally, ethically, spiritually, to do all we can to protect this miraculous world we are just one small part of, to protect this beautiful and increasingly fragile earth, and all the creatures, ourselves included. Remember verse 4 of the hymn? Respect the water, land, and air which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth. So let us continue to celebrate the web of life and our animal companions. May it be so. So now we will take some time for some individual animal blessings. And during this time, Colin and I will come down into where you are, down through the aisles, and you can indicate if you would like a blessing for your pet and let us know your pet's name. If you have a stuffed animal with you, or even a photo of your pet, the same applies. Now, if you're on Zoom right now, we will see you all in a little bit at the end of these blessings. So you can get ready now, find your pet, have them with you on Zoom or a picture, or you can even write their name on it, on a little sign. And at the end, we'll recognize everyone with the blessings. So while you're listening to the music, we'll come and bless anyone that pets you have. Just give me an indication, okay? Thank you all. Beloved humans and all other creatures, can we see the Zoom congregation now? There we go. There's some Zoom animals joining us. How wonderful. So let me give a blessing now to each and all who are present physically or virtually. Spirit of life, bless these beloved creatures who love unconditionally, and bless those who love them back and care for them. May we learn to live in the moment as they do, unencumbered by the distractions of human thought. I don't know where I wave. Do I wave there for them? Yeah. There you go, pets. I hope you receive the blessings over the airwaves. Let's sing.
Our closing hymn this morning, if you would please rise in body or spirit and join in singing nice and full, Life is the Greatest Gift of All, number 331.
Life is the greatest gift of all the riches on this earth. Life and its creatures, great and small, of high and lowly birth. So treasure it and measure it with deeds of shining worth. Mind is the brightest gift of all, its thought no barrier mars. It seeks creation's hidden plan, its quest surmounts all bars. It rains the wind, it chains the storm, it weighs the outmost stars. We are of life, its shining gift, the measure of all things. Up from the dust our temples lift, our vision soars on wings. For seed and root, for flower and fruit, our grateful spirit sings.
Dear friends, as our time draws to close, know that the impact of your actions extend beyond your imagining. So take the utmost care with your interactions with all who are part of the interconnected web of life, with our animal friends and with each other. Go into this day and the days and weeks ahead knowing deep into your bones that you are part of an amazing interdependent web of life, and you are not alone. We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of love that remains burning brightly in each of you. Go in peace and go in love. Amen.